All right, peeps, when it comes to fitness trackers, even though I do love my Fitbit, I only really use it for like very minimal things, which is tracking my daily movement. And yes, you heard right, I say movement rather than steps because technically anytime I move my hand for the most part, it's going to be tracking. So I kind of tell people, don't think too much about simply steps. It's about your overall movement. Like if you do this, your body is still burning calories. So I always say to them, when it comes to that, think of it more as a movement tracker. For example, when I'm on an exercise bike, if I just count on my wrist, it's not going to track. So when I'm on an exercise bike, I actually take off my watch and put it in my pocket so it can kind of get the motions of my legs moving. That's something you can do unless your watch also has a like bike tracking mode. But overall, when it comes to things like burning calories, I do not ever look at them. Most calorie trackers, when it comes to burning them, isn't that accurate. So the most I would do is, if you're in a gym and use the same machine each time, aim for the same amount of calories on that specific machine. That's much easier and more accurate at tracking your calories because you're using the same machine, so it's easier to kind of do a more comparison for comparison, and you'll tend to notice like it'll be the same amount of duration and time and effort you're putting in to get to the same amount of calories. So it's much easier to track that way. I also use the timer function. I often like doing that for various things during the day, whether it's just making sure I haven't burnt my food or simply if I'm in the gym and I know I only have an hour to be in there, I'll set the timer on there because sometimes when you're in the zone, you'll often be late for other things. And at the end of the day, we have a life outside of the gym, so we have to make sure that we balance in life as a whole, not just going to the gym. And number 3, I often do use it as well to like track my sleep, to make sure I'm getting a good quality sleep. If I'm often getting up and waking up in the night, it's good to track. But overall, the main one I use it for, and I always recommend, is just the daily movement track. I always say you shouldn't be getting these tracks if your main goal is to hyperfixate on the amount of calories you're burning per day or during your exercise, because they're very inaccurate. So definitely don't splash out for a super expensive one if that's your main goal. As long as you've got a decent brand, most of them track your steps and movement fairly decent. So that is my recommendation when it comes to Fitbits and fitness trackers as a whole.